I want to take a look at this story being reported now by Reason.com. It involves ICE agents over the course of literally years propositioning women at massage parlors for sex work effectively, supposedly to track down human trafficking. And it turned out to be more of a disaster than even that description really gets across. So let me catch you up a little bit on this. Federal agents had at least 17 sexual encounters in massage parlors around Mohave County, Arizona over a 5-month period in 2018, according to new research from the Howard Center for Investigative Journalism at Arizona State University. Internal ICE documents show these activities had the blessings of agent supervisors. So the plan was to have these sexual encounters as part of an investigation, and it wasn't just like a thing they did secretly behind their supervisors' backs. They had the okay to do that. An HSI memo on the investigation describes instance after instance of an undercover federal agent telling a masseuse to, quote, masturbate him. In several instances, ICE agents paid extra for masseuses to strip naked or go topless while doing that. And at the Reason article, which you can find available right now, they go into a lot more detail about how graphic some of these requests were and things like that, just so that you know how insane this was. To give you an idea, some of the reports are peppered with descriptions like, quote, the female was very skinny with small breasts. As part of an investigation, I'm not sure exactly why that sort of detail would be noted or would be a part of it, but if this was just guys trying to use their job to be able to have, apparently the federal government pay for them to get involved in sex work, then yes, if that was your goal, then it sort of makes sense.
And the report says that there were only like 3 misdemeanor charges from one raid incident.
Exactly.
There are different levels of using your position of power to your own benefit. Like, listen, if I was a police officer, maybe I'd turn on my siren to get through a red light.
Mm-hmm.
This is the opposite of that. This is... It gets worse and worse. Like I can't fathom something more like exaggerated as a satire.
What
like,
about
this is exactly
the name?
what you're
How about that?
Oh yeah, how about the
fact
name?
that it's Operation Asian Touch. And that's not like what the Washington Post is calling it. That's what they called it.
Like, and frequently when you come up with a secret name for your project, you're trying not to tip the hat too much as to what it actually is. Like, it's exactly what you're afraid they would try to do. And the name really underscores the creative minds behind this sting operation and how non-creative they are. But like, that's it. You were, the worst part is, these are the people you're trying to protect. These are the victims
that you are supposed to try to protect.
Right, that's what I mean.
And that you say you are.
Whose traffickers, whose captors are using their bodies to profit off of in a way that is a version of modern day slavery, right? Like that's what it's compared to. And you're doing the slave thing.
Yeah.
You are taking advantage, you're victimizing them further in a way that isn't like it. And it isn't like when you do a drug deal. This is bad. I feel so bad because I'm trying to compare it to things when I don't even think I need to compare it to things. Like everyone knows how terrible this is. But like if there's a drug deal, you don't do the drugs.
Yeah.
You don't do the drugs. You enter into an agreement that exposes that this thing is happening. And then you bust the bad people.
Exactly. Yeah, this would be like if you believed that people were being forced to sell drugs with the threat of violence, and so you bought the drugs from them, but you also like physically assaulted them during it. Like you're saying that you care about the victim, but you are yourself victimized. If they are victims, it's of the sort of thing that you're doing to them. And the calling it Operation Asian Touch, the fact that they said not all of the massage workers that the ICE agents visited would agree to sex acts when requested, and their memos muse that this is probably because the women were onto their agents' identities. So, assuming that they're being honest there, that is awful. because what they're doing is they're saying, well, if they do it, then hypothetically we can arrest them. If they don't do it, that's just proof of how much criminality is going on here.
It's so weird. Like, are you allowed to do the drugs if you're a narc? I don't know. And
Probably.
then also, do 17 of you need to do the drugs or more so that eventually you can bust one, like make 3 charges? No.
Yeah. And so, look, the reason I want to talk about this was obviously because this is insane and people need to know about this. We have talked for over the course of years about abuses of various sorts among ICE agents. This is a particular genre of those abuses that should get way more attention than they currently do. And this story should serve as a reminder of the fact that this is not like a standout story that is the only one of its type involving ICE agents and the broader world of law enforcement, police officers as well. This sort of sexual exploitation is all over the place in Border Patrol, ICE agents as well. They are given power over these people in a society that is trained to think that the victims themselves are horrible people. It is a toxic stew. And people get into the system sometimes to take advantage of it. And very often, even if it becomes news, not a lot of people really talk about it. This is national news. It's not a gigantic thing. How could it not be? It astounds me.
Yep.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.